Lynnewood Hall, located in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, is the second largest Gilded Age mansions in America. Its history is deeply intertwined with the RMS Titanic tragedy, which forever altered the trajectory of the family that built it. Lynnewood Hall was commissioned by Peter A.B. Widener, one of the wealthiest men in American history. It was designed by the acclaimed Horace Trumbauer and completed in 1900 after only 2 years of construction. Trumbauer collaborated with the French firm Carlian et Fils and Jules Allard et Fils to design the rooms inside Lynnewood Hall. These firms were the go-to decorators for European royalty and the American ultra-wealthy. They specialized in the Louis XV and the XVI styles, which are the same opulent gold-leaf heavy styles you see in the staterooms of Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. In the art collection, he owned dozens of Rembrandts, Vermeers, and El Grecos. When his son Joseph eventually donated the collection to the National Gallery of Art, it was considered one of the greatest gifts in history. If that collection were auctioned at Christie's today, it would likely fetch several $1 billion on its own. The neoclassical masterpiece contains 110 rooms and spanning 110,000 square feet. The Widener family's connection to the Titanic is direct and tragic. P.A.B. Widener himself was an investor in the International Mercantile Marine, the conglomerate that owned the White Star Line. Because the IMM owned the White Star Line, and Widener owned a significant chunk of the IMM, he was essentially a boss of the company that owned the Titanic. As an owner and director, Widener had a standing invitation to the maiden voyage. However, he was 77 years old in 1912, so he decided to stay behind at Lynnewood Hall, sending his son George, daughter-in-law Eleanor, and grandson Harry in his place to represent the family and oversee their interests. In a grim twist of fate, the very unsinkable luxury ship that was supposed to be the crown jewel of Widener's business portfolio ended up claiming the lives of his heirs and contributing to the decline of his maritime empire. Only Eleanor Elkins Widener survived the sinking. Her husband, George, and her son, Harry, both went down with the ship. Eleanor arrived back in Philadelphia aboard a private train car shielded from the press. When Eleanor returned to Lynnewood Hall in May 1912, the atmosphere was a haunting contrast to the opulence of the estate. It was no longer a symbol of Gilded Age triumph, but a 110-room mausoleum. When she entered the massive front doors of Lynnewood Hall, she was greeted by her father-in-law, P.A.B. Widener, who was physically frail and emotionally destroyed. The suites that had been prepared for George and Harry's return stood empty. Their belongings, which had been sent ahead or left behind, remained exactly where they were. Eleanor shut herself up in a small section of the house and refused to leave. Lynnewood Hall was so large that she could effectively live in a wing of the house without ever seeing a guest or even most of her staff. To the outside world, she had effectively vanished. She spent a significant amount of time in the library at Lynnewood Hall, surrounded by Harry's rare book collection. It was during this period of seclusion that she meticulously planned every inch of the Harvard Memorial Library. She was so involved that she reportedly insisted the library include a recreation of Harry's study, ensuring his presence was preserved in stone and wood. On the night of the sinking, Eleanor survived with a $750,000 strand of pearls, worth roughly $25 million today. For a long time after her return to Lynnewood, she refused to wear them or any other jewelry, as they were a painful reminder of the life she led before the disaster. Eleanor did eventually emerge. By 1915, she was active again in philanthropy, and in October 1915, she married Dr. Alexander Hamilton Rice, a famous surgeon and South American explorer. Moving on was seen by some as controversial, but for Eleanor, it was a way to leave the mausoleum of Lynnewood Hall behind. She began joining Dr. Rice on perilous expeditions into the Amazon rainforest, a radical shift from the sheltered, grief-stricken life she had been living in Pennsylvania. She was reportedly the first white woman to penetrate deep into the Rio Negro region of the Amazon. The furniture of Lynnewood Hall was as legendary as its art collection, functioning more like a curated museum than a family home. The Wideners sought pieces with royal provenance, items once owned by French or Italian royalty, to match the mansion's American Versailles aesthetic. The home even had its own upholstery and carpentry studios on site, where a full-time staff worked year-round just to maintain the delicate fabrics and wood finishes of the thousands of pieces in the house. The mansion also featured rare marbles. The breakfast room featured a fireplace made of Languedoc marble, while the dining room was finished in rich French walnut, later replaced with green and white marble. The halls were filled with Persian rugs, Chinese pottery, and 15th century tapestries. Lynnewood Hall had its own electrical power plant and a massive wine cellar. The house had 55 bathrooms, a staggering number for the era, and a complex network of hidden service corridors and secondary staircases that allowed a staff of 100 to operate invisibly. The house was architecturally designed so that guests rarely saw a servant. Footmen were expected to appear, perform a task, and vanish without a sound. The interiors of the mansion utilized salvaged European rooms. Entire 18th century rooms were imported from Europe and reassembled inside the mansion. Compared to the cramped quarters of many Gilded Age city homes, the accommodations at Lynnewood Hall were considered superior. Interestingly, even rooms for the staff and the basement workspaces featured ornate details. The staff generally had access to modern plumbing and electricity that were luxuries in most regular homes of the early 1900s. In the context of the early 20th century, A position at Lynnewood Hall was considered one of the most prestigious plum jobs in domestic service.
The wine cellar at Lynnewood Hall was not a single room, but rather a complex of specialized vaults designed to support the mansion's massive scale of entertaining. Unlike modern wine refrigerators, the Lynnewood cellars relied on passive geothermal cooling. The cellars were situated deep within the limestone foundations. The thick stone walls and the fact that the basement was partially subterranean kept the temperature at a near constant 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 60 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Every inch of trim, both inside and out, was executed with the same level of detail you would find in a fine jewelry box. The exterior was built primarily from Indiana limestone, a material prized for its durability and its ability to be carved into fine, crisp details. The ceilings were heavily decorated with filigree plaster, leafwork, and relief angelic figures. The roofline and pediments are trimmed with traditional Roman and Greek motifs. These pine cones are a secret and occultic ancient symbol of the pineal gland and so-called higher consciousness. The ballroom featured the most expensive trim in the house. The walls are paneled in rich French walnut, but the trimming, including the fluted columns and the composite capitals, was finished in 24-karat gold leaf.
The attic of Lynnewood Hall houses one of the most sophisticated and, at the time, technologically advanced lighting control systems ever installed in a private residence. It was designed specifically to solve a high-stakes problem: how to illuminate one of the world's greatest private art collections with natural light without damaging the delicate oil paintings. In the north wing attic, directly above the 5 major art galleries, sits a complex mechanical system that functioned like a giant set of architectural blinds. A network of chains and pulleys connected to a series of large metal louvers, or fins. These fins were located in the interstitial space, the gap between the outer glass roof of the mansion and the inner diffused glass ceilings of the galleries below. The system was often described as having a clock-like mechanism. Staff in the attic could crank or adjust these fins to follow the sun's path across the sky. By changing the angle of the louvers, they could ensure the galleries received consistent, soft, diffused light throughout the day, regardless of whether it was a bright morning or a fading afternoon. This level of light engineering was almost unheard of in a home. In fact, a very similar system wasn't installed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York until 1939, nearly 40 years after it was already functional at Lynnewood Hall.
This whole trash bin we filled up. We emptied out all these books. More books. There's a lot of books.
Where are the doors we're taking down?
Right
Are you on the are you shooting those down up there?
This was a full-time residence, which would never hear this. So they moved in.
So there's a lot of people that are running late because of the spaces down here to keep all your stuff. And you go back to the stairs and party through the staircase here.
Morse code.
At least it wasn't left code.
Oh. Sure, this is a paper thing.
Yeah, that's a paper cutter.
Paper. The old bathroom. Look at this neat window. This is how thick the walls are. It's in like 3 feet. So for this toilet, you would pull this here, and it would let the water from this tank come down and flush it.
This was, yeah.
I mean, drive out to Evansville, Indiana, and we look at it, and it is 3 times the size I said it was. So it is way too big for this house. But we were already there, and they were gonna burn it if we didn't take it. So we brought it back here, and we stored it here, hopefully we can give it away to somebody. Ironically, a man is coming tomorrow to pick it up, and he's taking it, guess where? Indiana. A number of what it would cost to recreate this room if we had to. $10 million would take about 3 years to carve the room. So, we are very fortunate it's still here. It needs a lot of work. It's also important to know that it's all oak. If you know anything about woodworking, oak is very difficult to carve. And the carvings are just so crisp. So the craftsmanship required to do something like that would have been just unbelievable. Another safe. The safe door is in the closet. I don't know what happened to it, but it also has the original mats.
Yeah, they were here. You guys ever see a cryptid before? There's one mansion I lived near Bucks County College. They have their stairwell, the spiral stair. There's storage closet under stairwell, it's a curved door. They had to use better water. You had the
Left in that hallway are to the staff billiards room. Not many Gilded Age mansions have their own billiards room for just staff, but this one did. Are $2 a piece if you blow them, and they can only be blown once, and then I have to get a whole new fuse. So until we upgrade everything, we're still running off the original knife switches. So you'll see a variety of these down here. They're all over the house. Yeah. Just watch your step, it's dark in here. So right about where I'm standing is where the two fountains are, directly in front of the house. This is your access to underneath both of those fountains, and this is how you turn them on and off, is with this little thing here. Just watch your step, watch your head. There's not a lot of room to look around, so you may have to get comfortable here. Whoa. Wow, that is a huge outlet. Wow. So this is your pump room down here. So there's a level underneath me. When we bought the house, it was flooded up to the very top stair. It took us 2 weeks to pump this out. I can see I need to pump it out again. It's up to now the third step. But underneath us is all the pumps that would operate the fountain. Directly ahead of cold air, or suck cold air across the cold water, blow up the fountain into the basement of the house as a source of air conditioning for really hot days. Didn't work very well, but that was what it was intended for. And this is all your controls originally. There would have been a series of dials and stuff. Those have all been stolen. But we're going to bring all this back to functioning again. It's not going to be with a pump down here, though. It's going to be all modern stuff. But this is all going to function again someday. So, yeah, really cool. You can go back out that way. There's a tunnel underneath us here that you can access through that. It takes you down to the sub-basin. There's another tunnel that runs diagonally and goes down that way and goes all the way to the back of the Van Dyke Gallery. And that's how you access all your piping to get to the Van Dyke Gallery. But that's not nearly as easy to get into, so people down.
The gallery, is that the one that?
Orchards on the bottom, like it's just really cool stuff that we all need to take the time to go through at some point. Organize and catalog all this stuff because it's just sitting down here randomly. Only I know where it is. So, but that concludes the tour.
A basement underneath the basement.
It's real big, right?
Huh? Yeah, it's pretty big.
We can.
Yo.
The Lynnewood spirits, I'll blow that out a little.
Oh, I just got finished telling you we're those spirits here.
I tried to do it too.
One photo of that room as the family room.
Oh my gosh.
In the middle of the room.
I'm Ellen.
We don't really want to get into weddings, but we may use the public.
Yeah.
The gardens, we want to get back open to the public.
So exciting.
We talked with some restorers to like more or get into the trade.
This is my first window. I'm very, very, very grateful.
To the walls, but over time, it originally looked like. Did you see the governess's room over in the other way? The blue room?
Yes, I did, yes.
That is the only room that has never been upgraded from the Victorian. P&D moved in before the house was finished.
Yeah.
The highly grained marble, but the originals all are this very light white. This spring.
And you're 2.5 hours.
Yeah, about 2.5.
Which direction?
North. I'm up past Scranton.
Okay.
And yes, there's. Child's bedroom, it doesn't look like this, but you'll see the same moldings were left in place.
And the other room, we saw the really cool cherub.
The ball.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we were looking, I was admiring those, and how each panel of the pink painting, I don't know, they're different,
They're the.
The molding around it is gorgeous. We don't make them like this one around here. That's a shame. We don't, that's why this piece on here is from too. It's really like the maybe. Oh my gosh, the molding is gorgeous. This is a lot of house. This is my whole house, just this one room. Seriously, this is a lot of house. I can't even imagine cleaning it. No, they had to have a staff of 47. They did. They had to have.
Look at this cabinet.
Oh, glass.
Or dresser or something. It's another corner. Interesting. I like this for videos. So what?
This door goes right into that ice cream room in the basement.
Oh, okay.
That's right where the. Right?
That's coal. It's for the coal. The coal power plant. Did it say if the power plant was still there? So he said this used to be the original driveway, front driveway to the house. And then we can actually go underneath the bridge. It's interesting to see how these things were put together with little stone pegs. Somehow this got all torn down.
Okay, so they were taking all the books out, and someone said, "We're making good work. We have a good system." And I made a joke. I said, "You know what's better than having a good system? Beating the system." They're rookies.
I know.
They have a big chipper for rookies.
They probably don't have chaps on or anything.
Well,
I don't see it.
yeah, I prefer not to wear chaps.
Really?
Like that, yeah. They're unnecessary.
That's